Dan, well, it's the first show I've done with you where I have to look at you on a screen, and I have to say, um, you look a lot better in person. You definitely have a face for radio.
Yeah, well, these lights aren't doing me any favor, nor is the prolonged exposure to the sun. I look red as shit. But
Yeah, what have you? What have you? Yeah, you are red. Do you have blush on?
a little bit, yeah, a little rouge, I
No.
think is what you're calling. What
What
you're
have you
calling.
been?
I don't
What have
know.
you been doing? What have you been out doing? How'd you get? You been getting a tan in bed?
No, I've been at the lake for the last couple of days.
Man, I knew that I hadn't heard from you and hadn't been getting any selfies or anything, and
Right.
I knew something was up. But listen, I still think I still think at some point there's a chance between us.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I decided this weekend that if I don't marry you, I'm not ever getting married.
I mean, I can't really blame you for that. I am a catch, right? So,
Yeah, yeah, you are a catch. But again, I'm gonna hold out. I've had a lot of people writing me about us.
hmm
Actually, I'm doing a Q&A right now, and they're asking all about us. And and man, I got to be honest. Like I am really excited that everybody's excited about the potential of us.
yeah, that's really weird. So,
Do you think it's weird?
yeah, pretty weird.
So what's been going on? What are you doing? Like you're not here. You're not with me.
No, no, I'm in Kansas City with my lady, hanging out, and then we're going to um, well, Ross, myself, I think Fake Dan and Giorgio, we're all going to Vegas for the Big Three basketball thing, and then for the Conor McGregor fight here in a couple of days. Actually, tomorrow. I leave tomorrow, but this publishes Friday night, so we'll be there by the time you hear this,
How long are you
folks.
gonna be in Vegas?
Just a couple of days. Well, we'll be there Wednesday. I'll get there late Wednesday night, and then we're gonna stay until I'll probably leave sometime Sunday. I don't know what time yet.
Damn, that's a long time in Vegas.
It's not that bad.
Well,
I mean,
I'll
I was just there. Brittany and I were there with a couple of friends of ours from Wednesday through Sunday of last week. So
when I
you
noticed
know,
that you didn't invite me because you didn't want to show her her competition.
yeah. I mean, she talks a lot of shit, so I don't know if you can handle that.
Yeah. Well, listen. I mean, look at me. I don't have to say anything because I'm that good looking. That's what Giorgio told me.
Yeah, he's lying. You should definitely think of some things to say.
Terrible. So what we got going on? What's this show? What are we covering on this show? This is a pretty good one. This is
Yeah,
pretty
this is
nuts.
some of the weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life, to be honest. We're
Yeah.
talking today about Libre by Nexus. Now, this was a story that we caught from PT News Network. That's Papa Tango News Network. You can find them on YouTube. They often, a lot of their fans come over and watch our stuff, and a lot of our fans go over and watch their stuff. So originally, what happened was what they originally reported is a connection between the border crisis and Black Lives Matter protests in Staunton, Virginia. Now, that might seem like a bit of a stretch. So stick with us here over the next hour or so, and we'll kind of explain what the hell's going on here. Uh, Oddly enough, the connection involves a reality TV show called The System, which is, I believe, on Unleashed TV, or it's going to be on Unleashed TV, and a company that acts as a bail bond service for illegal immigrants called Libre by Nexus. Um, this is, I got to tell you, this is one of the weirdest stories I think I've ever heard, and we've got more work to do regarding tracking down exactly what the hell's going on with all this and who the players are and such. So let's get started with some of the details of this case. Around the middle of May, a group of protesters showed up to demand the Augusta County Sheriff's Office begin using body cameras following the officer involved shooting of a man named Jeffrey Bruce. I don't know anything about that specific case, but during the public gathering at the Augusta County Courthouse, a man named Antoine Suter spoke publicly about police brutality, saying the following. It's happening here in my own backyard in different ways. Nobody is speaking up. Nobody is standing up for anybody. It's just being swept under the rug. So at the time of his statement, his public statement, Suter was actually a cast member on the TV series called The System that we just spoke about. It's about police and their their encounters with the public and stuff. The System is a series produced by Unleashed TV, as I mentioned before, and it features Bonnie Chapman, who, if that sounds familiar, it should, because she's the daughter of Dwayne Chapman, who is more commonly known as Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Well, this is going to get good.
There's so much weird shit in this story that I don't even know where to start. So I'm just going down this bullet list, and then we can speak more about it here in a bit.
So I want to tell you. So let me just give you a little background on Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah.
So there was a guy who was threatening to kill. I had to put my kids on. They had to have armed security on them. There was a guy who broke into my house in Kentucky. Federal agents on it, threatening to kill me in Bristol. Right.
Mm.
The guy said that the only way he would turn himself in was if Dog the Bounty Hunter did it. Dog got in contact with him and was willing to help this guy out. That's how big of a piece of shit that Dog the Bounty Hunter is. Like, let me put that in perspective. That is how that's how big a piece of shit he is.
That's really weird. Now, why was he trying to help out the guy?
I think Dog is just about trying to get fame, right? Like, it's more about notoriety. Like, I've seen him. I lived in Hawaii. I mean, he lives out in Hawaii. We've seen him out there. I mean, he's just all about, like, what you see on camera is what you really see.
Well, that's pretty weird.
Weird, right?
So, all right.
That's my
now that we know Dog the Bounty Hunter's involved, we know it's going to be kind of stupid.
Yeah.
So members of the cast of The System, which again is on some channel called Unleashed TV. I assume it's a streaming service. I haven't actually looked into that in particular, but members of the cast of The System have been spotted at protests around the area, harassing residents and business owners for some reason. In the footage of these protests, many of the so-called protesters can be seen wearing wireless lavalier mics, as well as being accompanied by professional film crews. And you can tell professionals from amateurs based on, how they move around the crowd, but also the camera equipment they have. I assume they're using stabilizers and all kinds of shit. Anyways, the producers of the show incentivize, this is according to the PT News report, incentivize people to join them by offering to cover their travel and accommodations, and also offer a free cell phone with 1 year of unlimited talk and text. Now, the cell phones provided by the network come pre-installed with an app that I personally have never heard of, but it's called Bad Cop, Good Cop, and it allows people to instantly upload footage of police interactions to prevent the footage from being confiscated or destroyed. Now, I don't think I've ever heard of a police officer getting filmed and then taking the phone away, because that would be,
you can't do that.
That person would lose their job immediately.
Yeah, I mean, right? They can't do that.
I just don't know why that. I mean, I guess this is just an overreaction, like a lot of things are. But, anyways, so as to the detail of them having their travel covered in their phones and all that stuff, Bonnie Chapman, who again is Dog the Bounty Hunter's daughter, posted a tweet explicitly stating that all expenses will be paid for. Anyone willing to join them at these protests, and she later edited the tweet to say funds were being gathered to cover the costs. Right. So the first statement, which is typically the true one, is that we'll cover all your costs if you come here and protest with us and wear a lavalier mic. So this is we've heard a lot about the quote unquote crisis actor thing. I think it was most closely associated with some of the school shootings. Yeah. I think that's nonsense. Those are kids, man. They're not fucking getting paid to do anything.
No.
Like that David Hogg kid is a turd, and he has no life experience and has no idea what the hell he's talking about. But he's not a crisis actor. That's stupid. Anyways, this seems to be legit professional crisis actors. It seems that these people are getting paid and incentivized in other ways to show up to these protests and cause a scene and be mic'd up while they're doing
But you
it.
just worry, like, where's the money coming from? Right?
That's a good question too.
Like that, where's the money coming from? That'll tell us everything, right? Like,
Yeah.
but this is again, so I think there's two segments to this, right? Like, and I just don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, the best that we could do with this is that they are simply doing this for entertainment, right? Like that would be the
There's
best.
a good chance that it's not nefarious.
But,
That they're just.
but
When I say not nefarious, that they're just kind of like predatory. They're taking advantage of the situation.
yeah, like let's hope that would be like the best case scenario on this. Like,
Yeah, which is not exactly a good case. I mean, we're having huge issues in this country,
yeah, but people
surrounding race and culture and stuff like that, and it's just being amplified unnecessarily by people like this, right?
yeah,
There are people have all these different motivations. Some people are trying to get famous. Some people just are frustrated and want their voice heard. Some people are trying to get rich, like the two BLM people that have been fired in the last 6 months for buying $1 million homes and shit. But I don't know where the money for this specifically is coming from, but let's keep going. I mean, it's coming from Unleashed Network, but let's get more into this here in a sec. So, the independent, and we're going to get right into your question here. The independent network behind the TV show called Unleashed TV is owned by a man named Mike Donovan, who is also listed as a cast member of the system, which means when it comes out, you're going to see him at some of these protesters with some of these. We actually don't know the full scope of what the show is going to be. I know they've been spotted at a lot of protests and shit, but if they're paying, like, some of the one of the trailers I saw was like this young kid, maybe 18, 19 years old, and he's on probation and he's having to go in and take a piss test. And I think they're just like wiring up kids and like having them go interact with police and see what the police do.
but
Which is basically like that man on the street shit where you just go find the dumbest looking motherfucker you can and say, "Hey, are you a Democrat?" Like, "Yeah." "What do you believe?" "Oh, I'm fucking believe stupid." You know what I mean? They're like, "See, Democrats are dumb." It's the fucking dumbest shit of all time.
But the problem is like there's just so many issues to this, right? Like, if this gets out and if this TV show is successful, we're fucked.
Yeah,
We're
I mean,
fucked
come
because
on.
like I mean I do respect the documentaries, right? Like when they do it in a documentary style of, but even that is still opinionized, right? But
You can edit it however you want.
well, and that's the
For
problem
sure.
with it, right? Is there's no parameters around what and the thing is then this becomes the truth, right? Like how many people watch reality TV and they think that that's the truth and that's real, right? And I hate to use this quote or I hate to use this reference, but I was on a reality TV show, and I
Yep.
can tell you something right now that 99% of it is fucking staged. Like
Oh yeah.
99% of the drama in it is stirred up by the TV show. They exploit it. They cut it how they want. They tell the story they want to tell. It's not the true story of real life. So there's nothing real about reality TV. The problem is that if this hits big, then this becomes the reality for people, right? Reality TV has become the news and the factual basis for people consuming this type of content. Kind of like YouTube, right? Like
Yeah.
like it's there's no factual, like, I don't know. I think that whenever this stuff, the more authentic that content is, the more real that people feel that it is, and the more that they take that as to be the truth, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, people are looking to contextualize the information they already have. So they hear on the news or in passing or maybe it's a fucking Facebook post, who knows, that X is true. And it makes you wonder, like, why is X true? And then, you hear people contextualize it, but it's only from their perspective. And that's not a very good way to go about doing this shit. So anyways, I agree with you. If this thing comes off as a success, it's going to be a big problem. I don't know if it will. It may get a lot of traction because of how weird it is. And we're going to get into that now. So, Mike Donovan, who is the owner of Unleashed TV, also owns a company called Nexus Services, which is a parent company that owns a bonding service called Libre by Nexus. That's Libre by Nexus. And they offer bonds to illegal immigrants, right? So they bond illegal immigrants out of jail. Uh, can't imagine why anybody would be doing that, because what are the chances they're going to fucking make their court appearance? I know from working in immigration that the vast majority of these folks aren't making they're
Well,
not answering their NTAs.
well, I can tell you. So let me tell you why. I
Yeah.
guarantee the same money that's paying for these people to show up is the same money that's paying for this, because they're able to. I mean, shit, they're just going to write it off. They're just going to write it off as a loss, right? I mean, the
Yeah.
same money that's coming for the TV show is going to be the same money that's paying for the. I mean, why would you bond illegal immigrants?
Yeah, I don't know. So let's get into the details of the bonding company itself. So again, that company, which is run by owned rather by Mike Donovan, who also owns Unleashed TV, which is putting on the cop show, the system. Libre by Nexus post bonds for illegal immigrants that have been detained and returned for signing a predatory contract. The contract is over 20 pages long, written primarily in English, and is required to be signed as soon as the immigrant leaves the detention center. So they go to these detention centers. And these aren't, we've been talking a lot about unaccompanied minors lately. These are adults now. So these adult illegal immigrants are at the detention facility. They can't get out. So Libre by Nexus shows up with this contract that's over 20 pages long. And the document requires the immigrant to wear an ankle monitor, which they pay $420 a month to rent. I'm not sure where all this money is coming from. That's $420 a month is a lot of money to be spending if you're somebody in a foreign country without a job. I mean, how do you even pay that? So the monthly fee also doesn't count towards paying the person's bail. I mean, they're still responsible for repaying Libre by Nexus for posting their bail, which is often for these cases somewhere between $15,000 and $20,000. That's about the standard.
Dude, nobody's paying this back. Like, you know what they're doing? They're going to put that fucking ankle monitor on. They're going to leave, cut it off, and not pay them back.
Well, we'll see. So there's more information here. So should the immigrant be unable to pay for the device, Libre by Nexus reports them and has them returned to the detention facility. So they're basically, holding these people hostage. According to one of their customers that was interviewed for this report, Libre by Nexus even threatened to have their mother detained should they remove their ankle monitor or fail to pay for it. So they're leveraging the illegal status of the family members that they're dealing with as well. It's not just the people they're dealing with directly. So they're, obviously great people.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Yeah. This has forced people in situations where they're stuck paying for the ankle monitor for years to avoid being placed back in detention. So they can't pay the bail or bond back. So they just have to continue wearing the ankle monitor and keep paying $420 a month on that. It's like one of those. This is legit one of those dystopian stories about how the government or some corporate organization keeps charging you credits or whatever because you can't meet certain requirements, but never allows you to gain the steam to meet those requirements. This is indentured servitude, man. This is what this is.
Yeah, but I don't understand why they have to be bonded out whenever nobody's holding them.
Well, they're not all caught and released, right? I mean, it varies. It depends on the person. Like if you're somebody that's been, if you've come over the border before, for example, we can get CBP people on here to talk about this at some point. But if you're caught if you've been convicted, I guess, or whatever for unlawful presence, I'm assuming they don't just catch and release you. That person probably gets held in a detention facility. Anyways, the contract often result in people paying Libre by Nexus more money than their original bond amount while still being forced to pay their monthly fees. During an interview with the Washington Post, Mike Donovan, who again is the owner of this, defended the practice by saying the following: "I care about our clients. It would be awesome to not have to charge them any money, but that's not really the system we live in." How much? Why would it cost $400 a month for an ankle monitor?
I don't know. I'm gonna actually go back. I've got some people I know who would know this real well about ankle monitor service, and I'll ask them how much it costs.
Let's see.
I bet it is. Like they've got services. Like I bet it is $400 a month for that service for them to do it tracking.
Maybe it is. I can't imagine why it would be. I mean, it's just a fucking GPS.
Yeah, but I would say it is.
Maybe.
I'm going to look it up. You keep
Maybe.
going.
I don't know. So recently, Libre by Nexus, which is again the bail bonding company that works with illegal immigrants, has begun moving away from using the ankle monitors in favor of providing cell phones pre-installed with a trafficking application. So now they're moving to phones with a trapping application. The phones also collect client data such as web history, passwords, files, photos, and social media metadata that all becomes property of the company. This is taken out of the contract, by the way. This isn't speculation. The policy for the phone states the following. This is directly from the contract. If you've been provided with a program phone, which is their language, program phone is in all caps there, we may collect and store any personally identifiable information you choose to enter into the program phone, whether that data was intended for us or another third party. Continues, if you do not want us to collect or store a particular piece of information about you, you should not enter, transmit, or communicate such information into any program phone. Now, that's just like saying, hey, we're going to violate your rights, but if you don't want us to, don't use the device.
So
right? That's that whole thing where if you don't have anything to hide, you don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah. If you didn't fuck up, like, why you say no comment, right? Like, So I looked up this ankle monitor cost. So
Okay.
They have a daily fee between $5 to $20 per day, plus $100 to $200 for a setup fee. So basically, they said that the monitor itself costs the government $800 to $1,500 per device.
Wow.
So, yeah, and there you go. So if it's $20 a day, it's $600 a month.
There's so much other stuff involved in this case. So
it's fucking nuts.
It's some of the, man, it really is some of the craziest stuff I've ever seen. That Unleashed TV service, by the way, Ivo Fisher, who's a former executive for WME, is I guess the CEO of the streaming service or some shit, along with this other guy. There's all kinds of weird legal shit going on here.
What network is this going to go on? Is this going to be on
I think
Netflix?
It's just a streaming service called Unleashed TV.
It's a streaming service.
Yeah. So, per a previous Deadline report, the new show will be titled Dog Unleashed. Or I'm sorry, Dog the Bounty Hunter's also got a new show. It's called Dog Unleashed on the same network. Their streaming packages like $9.99 a month, blah blah blah, get you all those episodes. I don't know if he owns his old content and he's moving it over to that platform. If that's the case, he's going to make quite a bit of money on that, or he may have been paid up front. But there's a lot of weird shit going on here. It's some like the legal stuff, and then the connection with BLM is pretty interesting as well. So before we get into all that, let's do some sponsors.
I'll tell you what's not weird. You know what's not weird, Dan?
What's that?
Ghost bed.
Yeah, it's certainly not weird. I love Ghost bed.
Yeah, ghost beds are awesome. Go check them out, ghostbed.com. You've got the cooling technology, 30% off site-wide. Are they still doing the 4th of July sale?
Yeah, they sure are. Yeah,
still running the 4th of July.
I'll go to the site right now.
Yeah, go check it out. Still running the 4th of July sale. They support those who support us. Just an awesome. Ghostbed has been a huge supporter to all the people, especially through COVID. They were doing it before it was cool though. So let's get that out there.
Yeah.
Just so comfortable right now. If you go buy with any bed purchase, you can get the cooling sheets or you get 2 cooling pillows.
Yep.
Or pillowcases.
And it's 30% off the mattress in the first place, man. So
yeah.
you go to the site, you get 30% off the mattress. Then you get 2 free pillows along with that. And they've got all this other cool. They've actually added some new stuff recently. So they've got a new memory foam topper that's I think it's $180. Yeah, it's actually $50 off right now.
How badass, man.
It's $60 off right now. Shit. Yeah, and it is a foam topper for a bed like that it's just a nice little luxury, you know.
Yeah, and plus,
adds a little bit of softness to your life.
Plus, it's got pay as you go financing.
Yeah, they got
so
the
36
months pay as you go. I mean, if you have decent credit, you don't even pay any interest.
Yeah,
like no shit. If you even if you have shitty credit, you still get a deal and you pay some interest. But with good credit, you don't pay any interest for 36 months. Nobody's going to give you that deal. They're also not going to give you a 20-year warranty on a fucking bed.
Yeah, I mean, 20-year warranty, like what do you do in your bed for 20 years, Dan?
Man, we don't need to have that conversation here.
Okay. Yeah, go check them out at ghostbed.com/drinking bros.
Yes, sir. And then we got stamps.com. Now we use this one a lot for our merch store, which hopefully you guys are digging into. We got a bunch of new stuff on the merch store as well. Go to stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage, and type in American in all caps. Stamps.com saves businesses thousands of hours and tons of money. This is the time a lot of people did it. Dakota, you and I have had our own businesses for a long time, but I've seen a lot of our fans, a lot of our friends start new businesses during the whole COVID thing because people learned that you don't necessarily have to work in an office to make money anymore. And if you've got a good idea, the infrastructure exists out there on the internet now to be able to turn your idea into money for you and your family, which I think is great. Awesome. We have a thing actually every Tuesday. Today's Tuesday. We're recording the show every Tuesday in Maine, which is the new Drinking Bros Facebook group. Every Tuesday they have Small Business Tuesday. So if you're a member of the Drinking Bros group, of Maine now, every Tuesday you get a chance to go in there and post your own stuff, talk to other business owners and stuff like that. I guarantee a lot of them are using this. We have been using stamps.com for as long as our merch store has existed. We use it over at Black Rifle as well. It's just an easy way to go through this whole process. It bundles you in the U.S. Postal, U.S. and UPS shipping services, where you get bundled with a lot of other bigger companies or a lot of small companies all together, and you get rates based on that full size instead of rates based on your size as a small business, right? So it saves you a ton of money. You can send letters, ship packages, and you pay way less than any other service.
They put it all together. Like I use stamps.com ever since I've had a store too. And basically you, with them, everybody teaming up, they get you the rates that you would get without the volume that you'd have to get those rates.
Exactly. Yeah. So you're going to get rates for a company that's shipping out thousands of packages a day, even if you're only sending 10 or 15 a day. You know what I mean? And that, I can tell you right now, I mean, you guys know this. Everybody buys shit on the internet now. If you end up spending so much money on shipping, it is ridiculous. And a lot of people pass that cost on to the customer, and that's fine. But I can tell you this, from all the surveys we've done, all the marketing surveys we've done over the years, the number one thing that stops people from buying something once it's in their cart is an unexpected high shipping cost once they get to checkout. If you're running your business and you're trying to avoid that stuff, if you don't want to lose customers, you got to have this stuff. So stop wasting time going to the post office and go to stamps.com. Instead, there's no risk. With our promo code American, you get a special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to stamps.com, click on the microphone, the top of the homepage, type in American. That's stamps.com, promo code American. Never go to the post office again. I think that's something we can all get behind because the post office sucks, as does any other government building of any kind. I always tell that to people. Like, you want government run healthcare? Go to the DMV and then tell me you want government run healthcare, brother. They couldn't even get the website right. Come on, man.
Yeah.
Let's get real here. All right. Speaking of getting real, we're going to talk more about the legal issues behind this company and then their connection with BLM. So the leaders of Libre Nexus are the following: Mike Donovan, who we already spoke about, Richard Moore, and Wayne Schneider. All three of these men have extensive criminal backgrounds related to fraud and financial crimes. Now, you remember us talking about Southwest Key programs and how their board their board will loan money from the company that are from federal grants. So the U.S. government gives them grants to detain unaccompanied minor illegal immigrants. They take that money, they loan it out to themselves, to their private businesses, and then they use that money to buy land or property or whatever it is. Land or buildings where they can store these kids. And then they lease the building back to the nonprofit at like a 10x markup. They're embezzling money. It's really that simple. So anytime you see anything like this where people of ill repute, I suppose, are involved in something like this, guaranteed it's all about the money, right? I mean, we've said that a million times. Follow that money and you're going to find, instead of a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, you're going to find a fucking asshole.
When is this supposed to come out?
People suffering. I will get to that. I think it's in September or some shit. Excuse me. So all three of the men, as I said, have extensive criminal backgrounds relating to fraud and financial crimes. Michael Donovan, who again is the owner of Unleashed TV and of Nexus, has previously faced felony and misdemeanor. Well, I'm sorry, he has felony and misdemeanor convictions for grand larceny, obtaining money under false pretenses, writing bad checks, and forgery. So this guy's like,
Real good
he's
guy.
like one of the trailer park boys. He's a scammer. He's like a career criminal that's now involved in this stuff. So of course, Dog the bounty hunter's involved with them. They're all scumbags over there, right? Good Lord. The more I read about this stuff, the more I'm just
Dude,
like,
this next
shit.
one's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, it is. So Richard Moore has prior convictions as well as current charges for crimes such as check fraud, larceny, obtaining money under false pretenses, as well as assault and battery. So far, we're 2 for 3. We got 3 guys here. 2 of them are writing bad checks and obtaining money under false pretenses, which, by the way, is like fraud. That would be like the penny stocks thing that what's his nuts did, the Wolf of Wall Street guy.
This next one is like where it gets fishy.
Yeah, now we're getting into the real meat and potatoes here. So Wayne Schneider, the last guy on the list, is listed as the, quote, Director of Governmental Affairs by by Nexus, as well as operating a bond company of his own called Zimmerman Bail Bonding. Now, Director of Governmental Affairs is the person in your organization that writes, they do proposals, right, for government contracts. That's their main job, or at least to oversee that process. So Schneider was part of a tax filing scam that collected more than $800,000 from the government through bogus refunds. The scam involved filing false tax returns with inflated refund amounts, a portion of which would be returned to the client, and the rest would be pocketed by Schneider and his co-conspirator. And good Lord, man, this is don't you need at least like one straight man in the group, one guy that doesn't have a record?
Yeah,
if you're going to start a new company doing government contracts, can you just have 3 felons as the owners of the company?
I don't know how they're doing government contracts with these people.
Because we've done them before, and I've been a part of a company that, like my old security company, we did all the security for the California State Lottery, for EB Mud, which is East Bay Municipal, like the water company in the Bay Area, and all these other companies. But they were government contracts, and our entire executive staff had to get background checks before we could do that shit. When I was at Black Rifle, when we were getting ready to do some stuff, we all had to get background checks for that. Shit, we had to do we had to like confirm our identity just to operate on Facebook.
Dude, to be able to go on base, you have to have a background check.
Yeah, this is insane. So again, Schneider pleaded guilty to wire fraud, tax fraud, and theft of government property in 2016, for which he received a 2-year federal prison sentence. So he is a convicted felon. That's 3 out of 3, brother. 3 out of 3 here. In 2019, a lawsuit was filed against Libre by Nexus Systems, Mike Donovan, and Richard Moore on behalf of 6 immigrants. The suit claimed that Libre by Nexus had siphoned more than $100 million from immigrants and communities in their communities since 2016. $100 million. Now that's not Southwest Key money, but when most of the money is coming from like fraudulent government backed stuff, and then from illegal immigrants, you're taking people who are desperate and taking what little they have. Well, do you realize how big of a piece of shit you have to be to do something like that?
Yeah, but it definitely makes sense of where the money's coming from.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, there's got to be some outside help here as well.
For sure.
3 knuckleheads like that aren't going to be capable of putting something like this together.
For sure.
The company, Libre by Nexus, was also accused of making up additional fees, which they were not entitled to collect. Now, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
Cell phone companies have been sued for this, cable companies, all kinds of like just random fees. There's something, God, what is it? When you get, I think most states actually have this now for mechanics and auto body repair. They have to give you
itemized
itemized estimate before they could start any work. And if they change anything on it, you have to sign that as well before they can start that work. Gotcha. Because dudes would, you know how it works. Dudes would be like, oh, fucking looks like your car is upside down. I guess we need to flip it. That's a $2,500 fee. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude?
Yeah.
Especially with women. I don't know why.
Yeah, I had my nanny she took my truck to get Like I had a hole in one of my tires.
Oh yeah.
My truck tires are like pretty much brand new. And
Right.
she called me and she's like, "Hey, the guy asked if I wanted to go ahead and replace all four." And I'm like, "Fuck you! Tell him
You
to
want to
go.
spend $10,000 on
Tell him
tires?
to
No, I'm
fucking
good.
pound sand. Tell him no."
Of course, they always try to pull that bullshit.
Yeah,
It's just predators. It seems like we went from people talk about the good old days in the 1950s, and look, there was a lot of stupid shit back then. Segregation was still around back
yeah,
then. People were hateful and dumb and ignorant back then, but the communities that did exist took care of each other. It was like I can tell you it exists more in Texas than any other place I've ever lived, where I routinely see when I lived in Oakland, somebody would be broken down on the side of the road, and that person's just there until somebody else shows up, like
yeah,
a tow truck or a AAA or something. In Texas, I very rarely see somebody broken down on the side of the road where another Texan doesn't stop and help them.
yeah.
It's just like common practice, and it should be. Why would it not be? Like, what kind of, it's not about that pay it forward stuff. Forget about all that emotional nonsense. You're trying to create a system in which we all help each other, and that is the standard, and we all hold each other to that standard. That is how things work.
I mean, if we're not going to help each other, then why do we live around each other?
I have no idea.
You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like if we're not going to help each other as a community, everything's needed. Like, you know, like look, the businesses like that are in the community need the money from the people who live in it, so they should try to help them out. The business owners who pay
yep.
their, you know what I mean? Like it's just everything's the ecosystem, right? And it's like, why would you not want to help that person? Like pull over and help your fellow. Like I see it all the time, man. I'll see a wreck or I'll see some shit, and people just literally want to pull their phones out, you know, and not help or anything. And it's
and
just
rubberneck and get in the way.
and just rubberneck. Yeah, it's just a terrible. Or like I'll tell you this, we'll have one direction of the roadway closed down, and dude, you'll see people blow around it, like blow around it, you know, putting everybody in danger because they're in such a fucking hurry. You know, people are just assholes.
Mm.
And it's like, why would you not want to help out other people, right? Like, why would you want to put other people in danger? Why would you see somebody on the side of the road, and I do it because I number one, I don't know, I have a hard time passing up somebody broken down on the side of the road. But number two is like, I want to be the person that I hope somebody is to my daughters.
Right.
If they
and
break down the side of the road.
you also want to, you know, the way I think about it is, and I've actually had this conversation. We'll get back on topic in a sec, but I've had this conversation with women before about a lot of women feel threatened at night when it's dark out and a strange man is walking behind them. I understand that. I mean, that makes sense to me. I think the vast majority of people would not be a threat, but we don't operate like that. You know, as a Marine, and I know as a soldier that you always prepare for the worst, right? Yeah. I assume everybody's a threat until I can prove otherwise. That doesn't mean I'm going to attack them or anything or run away from them, but I'm ready. You know what I mean? You should be. There's nothing wrong with that. But I asked the women, like, well, how would you prefer I handle that situation? And the response that I hear a lot is that, well, I mean, it would be great if you would just cross the street. I'm like, okay, but I know I'm not going to hurt you. What if I cross the street and then some asshole's on your side of the street and I can't get there in time to stop them? You know what I mean? Like, we've got to come to some kind of understanding here where, and it's systemic, right? We think that masculinity, we don't think that, but a lot of people think that masculinity and aggressiveness and violence even are somehow intrinsically bad, but no, they're designed for a purpose. Man.
Yeah. But I go back to, again, you know, we've got this idea that masculinity is Harvey Weinstein. Like the people who are representing masculinity, the people who are shitty men, like they're what's representing masculinity, right? Like women didn't just wake up and hate men or fear men. Some man has made them fear them, right? And that's that's just where we've got to be stronger men to override that, right? We've got to show them that there are great men out there, you know. But again, the reason that men have been painted in this picture is because of the shit that TV shows like this have done to make the reality that men are shitty.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it is what it is, though. So there's a book by a guy named Tim Wise. He's kind of a knucklehead. He's a little bit too into the racial stuff, but he wrote a book called Between Barack and a Hard Place, and it's like, how can racism still exist? I mean, obviously he's, kind of tongue in cheek saying it, but how can racism exist if we had a black president? How can there still be race? I mean, it's a stupid comparison that people make, but he tells this story about, and again, I'm not a fan of the guy, but he does say some interesting thing. He tells a story about when he was in college. I think he went to LSU or some shit. Somebody made some gumbo and he didn't make it. He didn't have any of it, but he lived in a house with 6 other dudes, and just sat there on the counter for like a week, and now it stinks. Right? It's terrible. And everybody's like, well, I only had one bowl, or I didn't even make it. I didn't have anything. And at the end of the day, though, it doesn't really matter. What matters is that there's a mess and we're all
Yeah.
suffering because of it, and it needs to get cleaned up. So if you're a guy out there, don't get butthurt right out of the gate about that stuff. If people feel
Yeah.
threatened or anything like that, it's all of our job to represent whatever institutions we're part of in a positive way, and then lobby on behalf of those institutions. It's your job as a man to show people what a real man is.
Yeah, I mean,
Right?
man, like I got 2 daughters, right? So
Yeah.
I think I've talked about this on the show before, but I've got 2 daughters. I mean, I've got tattoos down my left arm, right? And man, I'll tell you, like, this is something that people don't think about. But when I go up to one of the moms of, my daughters are always asking me, hey, can so and so come play? Can so and so come play?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine me walking up and saying, hey, can your daughters come play with my daughters at
Right.
my
Yeah,
house? They're like, fuck no. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, it's a weird, I'm a single dad. It's just it's a weird deal, like people just don't trust. They just have these like they just have these ideas of what it is, of what this person is, based off of what people have told them.
Right, and it sucks. I mean, it sucks to get made into a monolith, like all cops are bastards, or all this or that. I mean, obviously that's never true. Monoliths are never true, but it is incumbent upon all of us, if we want these institutions to continue and be successful, and we need them to be, because otherwise society falls apart. To get out, get your stump speech ready, and don't just do it with words either. Do it with actions. When people need help, fucking help them, right? Because it makes a difference. I say this all the time, but uh, everything a little boy learns about how to treat women, he learns from how his dad treats his mom, and everything a little girl learns about how she's supposed to be treated by people, but particularly men in general, is how her dad treats her mom, right? It's a very important lesson to learn. So make
100%.
sure that with your actions, you're doing the right thing, and displaying the right kind of fucking stuff here. So let's get back to Libre. So, um, Libre by Nexus has also been sued by GPS vendors and law firms for allegedly failing to pay for services rendered. Now, we've run into people like this in business quite a lot. People who, they've always got their hand out for something, and then when it comes time for them to give back, they never do. You know what I mean? They profit off stuff and then file bankruptcy or whatever it is. We see this shit all the time. So I'm not surprised. These guys are career criminal scumbags. So I'm not surprised by that either. Latest lawsuit against Nexus Services, which is the parent company, again, was actually filed by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now that's not good. That's
No.
when they get involved. Typically, what's coming down the pipeline is huge fines and new regulations on the.
It's kind of like OSHA showing up to a construction site.
Right. Yeah. So the lawsuit claims the following: that Libre used unconscionable tactics, including lengthy and complicated contracts written in English when most consumers do not understand English, and presenting contracts to detainees for signature only after they been released from detention. Now, Mike Donovan, who again is this turd we've been talking about, himself has claimed that CFPB lawsuit is in retaliation for lawsuits Libre has filed on behalf of their own detainees. And he said the following: immigrants are tortured while state attorney generals and others conduct a shadowy investigation into the only company helping the immigrants they claim to be protecting. Libre by Nexus welcomes this action, as finally these inquiries can be brought out of the shadows and into one courtroom. Now, he's probably not entirely wrong about that, to be honest.
Yeah, but that's a low hanging fruit. Like, that's a low hang like that. Like, if that's all he's got to say back, I mean, anybody could say that. You could use that for anything.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
He's
Like obviously, but obviously, Mr. Donovan, you seem to be profiting and making a fuck ton of money off of um, the government doing this to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're profiting off this.
Yeah,
You know what
I
I mean?
mean, they're certainly profiting off the misery of people. So again, I want to go back through some of these highlights, and then we'll tie back in to the BLM thing. So the suit that's going on right now, filed by Legal Aid Justice Center in against Donovan and Richard Moore, by the 6 immigrants that we talked about before. Um, it lays out all the shady practices and details everything. Filing claims that Libre's scheme has siphoned more than $100 million, as we discussed. Uh, the Libre by Nexus would lose their surety bond for sure if they're convicted of any of this stuff. They lose their bonding agents. They would collect premium of bonds of the detained immigrants, and then transfer. I'm sorry. So the surety company that they have, they would transfer money to it, and then the bail bond company, to indemnify the company for bonds, would be forfeited as well. So you're talking about, I mean, if it's $100 million that's run through this thing, you're talking about probably $50 to $80 million that they're going to be on the hook for. So once Libre, I'm sorry, hold on me, I'm skipping down here. Yeah, the Financial Bureau is all over these guys. They have been investigating them for a while. It looks like. It's the suit also alleges that both Donovan and Moore disregard the corporate structure of both Nexus Services and Libre by Nexus, and haven't taken interest-free loans from the corporation and paid personal expenses with corporate funds. Oh, big shocker. It
Big
seems like
shocker.
everybody that has some kind of government contract related to immigration is siphoning money out of it.
Yeah, big shocker,
Jesus
right?
Christ, man. It's like every one of these cases we look at is like this. Unbelievable. So another company, Eckert Siemens, sued in an attempt to get 1.4 million in legal fees that Nexus refused to pay. They countersued, claiming the law firm overbilled. So this is the company that they owe money all over town. They're not paying their bills. They're using money. This sounds like the goddamn Wounded Warrior Project 10 years ago. To be honest, is what it sounds like to me. OmniLink and Booty, the two of the biggest GPS monitoring companies, both have suits right now for breach of contract. This company is going down in flames right now. And just to remind you, these are the people who are organizing protests daily in Staunton, Virginia, in the name of Black Lives Matter, all while filming a reality television show. This is the weirdest shit.
How'd you find this?
PT News Network.
That's nuts.
Like I told you. Yeah, it's wild. So I'm looking through this. In the Shenandoah Valley is where this is. The town of Staunton is home to 24,000 people. It's not a huge city. I mean, I'm in a city of 22,000 people right now. It's just a normal size American city, right? A group of activists who claimed, and I'll tie this in a sec, a group of activists who claim to be protesting in the name of BLM. In reality, they're working for this show that Mike Donovan owns, who owns Nexus Services, on Unleashed TV, that involves goddamn Dog the Bounty Hunter and his daughter. Right. So these are people who are being paid to protest, to not just to protest, but to organize the protest and to be mic'd up with professional film crews around. So who are the people that are doing this? It's a long, weird ass story. It began, at least from this part, with the death of Jeffrey Bruce again, and it's about the show, The System. It features Bonnie Chapman again, who's the daughter of Dog the Bounty Hunter, and then here are some of the other names that you can. These are people that are being paid to be on this show. Cameron Turley, whose nickname is Camo. Blake Ratcliffe, who goes by Carr. Dylan Jorgensen, who goes by Twig. Cortez Nathan, who goes by Tezzy. Sam Nitro Orlando. Mackenzie McQueary, who goes by Ken. Weird. Anthony Ant Ratcliffe, who may be related to Blake Ratcliffe. Michael Goes Phillips. Ishmael Barrios, who goes by Ish. And Steven Nelson. That's the cast. Mike the Boss, that's how he refers to himself. God, I want to strangle this dude. And Tim Shipe, who goes by Ma, are also listed as cast members. The website states the following: the system, soon to be released, is sure to wow audiences. Featuring a stellar cast and collaborative efforts from terrific crew, the system brings to life an absorbing story and a variety of compelling characters. So, are they really there to protest Black Lives Matters, or are they there to start trouble? The reason we bring this up, this whole fucking story, is because, and the reason I started out with all the other stuff first, is well, you can see that these three men that own this company are fucking shitbags. They're being sued by everybody. They're taking advantage of some of the most disadvantaged people that exist and taking what little money they have away. And for some reason, out of the kindness of their heart, they're going to send people to fucking protest on behalf of racial justice. That seems unlikely to me. So several of their so-called protests have become increasingly confrontational, and you know how that is with reality TV. When the producers are there, the producers
Oh,
of reality TV are some of the most amoral people of all time. They're like,
oh,
hey, you know
they
what?
are
You should.
scum,
They're just like instigators. They're trying to start shit all the time.
dude. They are
Um,
like scum.
yeah, they are terrible people. So as they have decided uh, to protest local businesses after learning that a couple that owns one of the businesses was in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Now, let's be clear, 300 dum-dums stormed the Capitol or whatever. I know it's being billed by the mainstream media as like an attack on the foundation of our system of government, but it was 300 idiots taking selfies. Let's be real about that. And
Yeah,
every one of them should go to jail, in my opinion, but let's not reframe this as
yeah.
something
Look, if
that
they were
it's not.
protesting out there and they didn't break through any place that
No.
they weren't allowed to, then they're fine. But if they broke
Now,
into the Capitol, they deserve to go to jail.
there are billions of dollars worth of damage done over the summer last year
Yeah,
by
let's don't even.
Black Lives Matters,
Yeah,
tearing down, burning down police stations and trying to set federal buildings on fire. And that wasn't an attack on our American system of government, but 300 dum-dums casually strolling into the Capitol and taking selfies. That was it, huh? That's the big assault. That's the reason that you're worried about all this gun ownership in the country is because of those people. Seriously, there were about 1.3 million people in DC that day protesting, and 300 of them were idiots, right? So,
yeah.
anyways, that rant over. The group has harassed the business owners, anybody that they knew that are conservative or part of any of this stuff. They've been called. They call people racist, terrorists, da da da.
Yeah, isn't this
A
what we
group.
do though?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, it's
We
unfortunate.
harass the people who don't agree with us.
Right. A group of local business owners and concerned citizens decided to start counter protesting. The group gathers to do a traditional flag wave to show support for police in the county. Oftentimes, the two groups have engaged in continuous dialogue, and even some physical confrontation has happened. Now, you're seeing this in California right now, too, because of, especially in Southern California, because the police are not being allowed to do anything at all down there. Antifa is basically just like starting fights and beating the shit out of people in the street now. I mean, it's insane what's going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, it's only going to get worse. I mean, this isn't the problem. Isn't what we're seeing right now. The problem is what the next generation looks like. The
Right.
problem is what's next, right? Like, it's one of those deals to where it's like they got to keep raising the bar because the shit just starts to become the new norm, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and,
And
and that
it's hard.
becomes a
It's
new
hard to
bar.
unring that bell too.
Well, and
It's hard
that's
to
the
unring
thing.
that bell.
That's the thing. And where does it stop, right? Like, what does the next generation look like? What world are my kids going to grow up in? Of like, what's the new norm? You know, like it's kind of crazy seeing the stuff that I would have never thought I'd see, the stuff that I would have never thought would happen, the stuff that I would have never thought would be okay, be the new norm. Like, I never thought that across the nation that I'd live in a country where I watched the cities burn down.
Yeah, it's weird, and it's these are people
I mean, look
whether
at
they're
Portland.
trying. It's whether I don't know whether they're just trying to profiteer and make money off of it, or if there's some other connection externally. I mean, look, we know that people have all these weird conspiracy theories about George Soros and shit, but there's no question that he systematically spent hundreds of millions of dollars all across America to get super liberal judges put into place. Like that is a matter of public record. That's not something people just made up. So when I see somebody spending all this time and effort getting involved in a situation like this that is uh, 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 causing so much division in our country, and they're stoking the division, it can only be one of two things. Either they're trying to weaken the country for some reason, or they're just trying to profiteer. Either way cannot be tolerated. So,
Yeah,
uh,
but either way, I mean, like, Soros is no different than this TV show right here. I mean, if you're shoving fucking money
Right.
in to cause chaos, I mean, look, there's a ton of people that seem to be involved in different ways. They all have their little hand in this ecosystem of causing chaos and profiting off chaos and stoking the fire, right? Like how? Let me ask you this: at what point do these people become accessories?
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be some kind of penalty for willfully engaging in behavior that results in this kind of shit. Now, these guys aren't they're not even raising money for a cause. They're making a fucking TV show where they're paying people, paying all their travel expenses, and then giving them phones for a year so they'll come out and protest and use this and
Yeah,
record police. And remember all those fucking BLM protests that happened in the fall last year? And everybody was wondering, like, how do these kids who don't have any money, who are out in college or just out of college, who don't have jobs right now, that stimulus check was late by then in September. Nobody had any money at that time, but all these kids managed to be traveling to Baltimore and New York and then out to the Pacific Northwest and so on and so forth. They were all over the place, right? And a lot of the same people were showing up in the same places. How do you think that was happening? Well, now we know, right? Some asshole trying to make a TV show. And again, their motives might be profiteering. They may be trying to divide the country, but some asshole running a TV show was funding the whole goddamn thing. 3 men, as a matter of fact, who have extensive felonious backgrounds. Are you fucking kidding me? People who have been preying on the weakest among us for years now, and are finally, getting investigated for it. This is absolute nonsense that this is happening, and I do encourage you to go over to PT News Network and search for Lights, Camera, and BLM protests. It's a really good article. Got a lot of information in here, a lot of screenshots from Bonnie Chapman, from others. So Bonnie Chapman put out a call for bodies to join their protest and stated that they would be compensated on Twitter. She wrote that all expenses would be paid for. And then again, like I said before, she went back and changed that after the fact. If you look on this article at PT News Network, you can see the two tweets next to each other and how she changed them. I'm guessing somebody from the legal team said, hey, maybe don't do that, because paying people to protest, bribing the masses, and then covering up your actions doesn't make one look all that righteous, as they say.
Well, because then
here.
then it comes down to, like, if they do something, they're acting on behalf of you, and you're tied to the obligation, right? But they can give them, like, oh, if you show up, we'll give you a free phone, right? I mean, they're just skirting around just not paying them.
Yeah, basically. And then,
they're still incentivizing and encouraging this stuff to go on. So but it hurts both sides.
It does.
It hurts both sides.
Their side is themselves, right? They just want money or attention. Or maybe it's this Donovan guy. He's been sued like a number of times by the local law enforcement. So maybe he's just trying to start some shit there. Who knows what it is?
But I'm saying it hurts both sides of, like, it hurts the group that's trying to protest for a true reason more than anybody.
Yeah,
because
for sure, yeah.
Because then you get people there who are acting not because they are authentic. They are literally acting because they're getting fucking paid, right? Like, they're protesting, and then they're the ones who are usually doing the dumb shit that makes everybody else look bad. And it's like all these people are just, they're not there with the right intent because they truly feel like this is a cause that's worth fighting for. They're literally there to self-serve and get paid to fuck off, right?
Yeah, basically. I mean, people see gaps in the marketplace and try to capitalize on it. That happens in business all the time. The problem is that we've turned all these social and political movements into businesses. And the reason that happened is because we turned politics in America into a business. Billions of dollars are spent every single year on presidential campaigns, and then even the midterm campaigns every 4 years.
Yeah.
I think it's about $3 billion.
And look who makes the fucking money. The people who are putting it on, the press, right?
Yeah.
Like, the press gets paid. I mean, like, all these people are making fucking money off of it. And it's just, it's doing nothing but getting us further away from the principles of what we need to be seeing happen, right? Because then you get people like AOC who are in there more worried about their Twitter following and more worried about, pleasing, being an entertainer than you are about doing their fucking job.
Yeah, I agree. And it's, I mean, it looks like this guy's going to get his comeuppance. There's currently 9 states investigating or actively suing Nexus Services and Michael Donovan specifically. Uh, we went through all that. I didn't realize it was 9 states at the same time, which, I mean, that's pretty wild that all that's going on. And again, if you go to the PT News Network on this, on their website there, you can see the article. You'll link back to the article discussing Mike Donovan and his career and all of his businesses and everything. This is a much broader story than we had time to cover in 1 hour. But since you mentioned principles, I'm going to reread the 5 principles that we came up with for the American Party because I think it bears repeating. I said these on Failure to Stop on Mike the Cop and Eric Tansey show the other day. I want to put this out there because I like hearing the feedback, what people think about it. Number 1 is the one we all signed, the dotted line. You know, I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I think that should be an expectation of every single American. I will do something every day to help my country, my countrymen, or all men. Right? We're here. The reason we formed communities in the first place is to help and take care of each other. If you're not on board with that, go live in the fucking woods somewhere. I will not allow those less fortunate or incapable of defending themselves to be harmed or taken advantage of my country. That means everybody. Not just the people you like or agree with, or the people that look like you, or even the people that were born here. We don't let people get taken advantage of in our country. That's not what a man allows. It's just not. 4 is, as a leader, I will eat last. I think that speaks for itself. It's your job to make sure everybody else is taken care of. And 5, I'll put more into this country than I take out of it. These are rules that anybody can follow, and that if a plurality or a majority of people do, it changes the landscape of the world we're living in. We look something more like the communities in the 1950s that actually took care of each other rather than the ones today that are constantly at odds. Now, I'm not saying that the 1950s wasn't without problems, obviously segregation, all that shit, but people in general felt it's almost like strikeouts in baseball. It used to be an insult to strike out in baseball. Now they don't care, right? Base running and fundamentals used to be a big deal back then. Now nobody cares. It used to be a big deal if somebody needed help, that you helped them. That used to be a big deal. And if you didn't help somebody that needed help, pretty much everybody looked at you the same way, like you're a fucking asshole. Now we've just accepted the fact that we're all out for ourselves and we can all be assholes. And it just doesn't work that way, man. We went from 180 million people to 350 million people in not that long a time. And now we're stacked on top of each other. We're living in these ever expanding communities that are not only bigger, but more diverse. And somehow we expect to be able to fucking be antagonistic and divisive with each other and that to work out. How the fuck do you think that's going to work out? If you love your goddamn country, like you say you do, like you're waving your flag around all weekend this weekend, you better reach out and start helping people.
Absolutely.
Because if not, we're not going to have a country to fucking fight for anymore.
100%. I'll see you in hell.
See you now.